Welcome to this English practice video, a 1C2 levels. Biology, a 1 level. My name is Tom. I am a student. I like biology. Biology is a school subject. In biology, we learn about plants, animals, and the human body. Plants are green. They need water, light, and soil to grow. Animals eat plants or other animals. The human body is very interesting. We have a heart, lungs, and a brain. Our body helps us to move, think, and live. In class, we look at pictures and simple books. Sometimes we use a microscope. I like biology because I learn about life. Biology, a 2 level. My name is Kate. I am a student and I study biology at school. I think biology is very interesting and useful. In biology lessons, we learn about living things such as plants, animals, and humans. We also learn how the human body works. Plants need sunlight, water, air, and soil to grow. They produce oxygen, which is important for life on Earth. Animals are different. Some animals eat plants, and some animals eat other animals. Humans are also part of the animal world. We also study the human body. We learn about organs like the heart, lungs, and brain. These organs help us to live and stay healthy. In class, we sometimes do simple experiments or look at samples under a microscope. I enjoy biology because it helps me understand the world around me. Biology B1 level. My name is Alex. I am a student and I study biology at school. I am very interested in this subject because it helps me understand how living organisms work. In biology lessons, we study plants, animals, and humans. We learn about cells, which are the basic units of life. All living things are made of cells. We also learn how the human body functions. For example, the heart pumps blood, the lungs help us breathe, and the brain controls everything in the body. Plants are also an important topic in biology. They produce oxygen and food through a process called photosynthesis. Without plants, life on Earth would not be possible. Sometimes we do experiments in the laboratory. We use microscopes to observe small organisms and cells. These practical lessons are very interesting. I like biology because it helps me understand nature and how life works. Biology B2 level. My name is Emma, and I am a biology student at university. I have always been fascinated by how living organisms function at different levels, from cells to entire ecosystems. In my studies, I focus on topics such as genetics, human physiology, and ecology. One of the most interesting areas for me is genetics, because it explains how traits are inherited and how DNA influences the development of organisms. We also study cellular processes in detail. For example, we learn how cells produce energy through respiration and how they divide through mitosis and meiosis. These processes are essential for growth and reproduction. Another important part of biology is ecology, which examines the relationships between living organisms and their environment. It helps us understand how ecosystems remain balanced and how human activity can disrupt them. In laboratory classes, we conduct experiments, analyze data, and sometimes work with microscopes to observe microorganisms. These practical sessions help us connect theory with real-life observations. I find biology both challenging and rewarding because it constantly evolves with new scientific discoveries. It also plays a crucial role in medicine, environmental protection, and biotechnology. Biology C1 level. My name is Daniel, and I am a postgraduate student specializing in molecular biology. My research focuses on the complex regulatory mechanisms that govern gene expression and cellular differentiation in multicellular organisms. Modern biology has shifted significantly from descriptive studies to highly quantitative and interdisciplinary approaches. In particular, the integration of molecular genetics, bioinformatics, and systems biology has allowed researchers to analyze biological processes as dynamic and interconnected networks rather than isolated phenomena. One of the most compelling areas of my work involves understanding how environmental factors influence gene expression through epigenetic modifications. These reversible changes do not alter the DNA sequence itself, but can have profound effects on phenotype and long-term biological function. In addition, advances in genome sequencing technologies have dramatically accelerated our ability to identify genetic variations associated with diseases. However, interpreting this vast amount of data remains a major challenge, requiring sophisticated computational models and statistical methods. During laboratory work, I frequently collaborate with interdisciplinary teams, combining experimental techniques with computational analysis. This synergy between theory and practice is essential for generating reliable and reproducible results. Although the field is highly demanding and constantly evolving, I find it intellectually stimulating. It offers not only a deeper understanding of life at the molecular level, but also significant implications for medicine, biotechnology, and environmental science. Biology C2 level. My name is Adrian, and I am a researcher in integrative systems biology, where I investigate living systems not as collections of discrete parts, but as emergent, self-regulating networks governed by multilayered feedback mechanisms. My work sits at the intersection of molecular biology, computational modeling, and theoretical biophysics. Contemporary biology has undergone a profound epistemological shift, from reductionist frameworks that sought to explain life by isolating individual components, to holistic and systems-oriented paradigms that emphasize dynamic interactions across scales. In this context, biological function is increasingly understood as an emergent property of complex adaptive systems rather than a direct consequence of linear causality. A significant portion of my research focuses on gene regulatory networks and their robustness under perturbation. Rather than behaving deterministically, these networks exhibit stochastic fluctuations that can nonetheless produce stable phenotypic outcomes. This apparent paradox has led to a reevaluation of traditional notions of genetic control and biological determinism. Another central theme of my work is the role of epigenetic memory in cellular identity. Cells retain a historical record of environmental exposure, encoded not in DNA sequence, but in chromatin architecture and transcriptional accessibility. This layer of regulation introduces a temporal dimension to gene expression, complicating the classical genotype-phenotype relationship. Methodologically, I rely heavily on computational simulations, high-throughput sequencing data, and probabilistic modeling. However, the sheer dimensionality of biological data often necessitates the development of new mathematical frameworks capable of capturing nonlinear dependencies and emergent behavior. Ultimately, I am driven by the conviction that understanding life requires not only increasingly precise data, but also a conceptual reconfiguration of how we define causality, complexity, and organization in living systems. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment,